show. I want to go ahead and talk about signaling in this episode. Now, these aren't your typical lessons for fighting style. But then again, bullfighting is not your typical fighting style. It's not even only about fighting. In fact, the number one reason to become both an ulam and then eventually a sholu is to avoid fights altogether and still get what you want. So, how does that relate to signaling? Well, signaling is something we all do every day, whether we realize it or not. Now, you wear a particular style of clothing because you're signaling to everyone, to the tribe, that you are of a particular temperament, you listen to a particular band, you're into a particular activity, and all that is reflected in your look. Now, you are doing this both consciously and subconsciously. You might not realize that you're signaling, but subconsciously you are. Sometimes you do realize that you're signaling. One of the worst things you can do is signal your intentions. And in the art of war, as Vo is one of the major influences of the Vo style, is Sun Tzu's writings in the art of war. And one of the tenets of the art of war is that all warfare is based on deception. And what does that mean? You see guys walking around with the tap out sticker or a tap out shirt, and sometimes they could genuinely be proud, and they may be proud that they are an MMA fighter or that they can make someone tap out. And that's their activity, it gives them meaning, gives them a tribe. But they're signaling to any would-be miscreant, troublemaker, fighter, brawler, that, hey, I'm someone who's willing to engage in a fight. A lot of times you'll see when you go to a bar and someone wants to start a fight at a bar, a lot of times that person is looking to start a fight. They are just aching to start a fight. And a lot of times the two people in the bar who are of that temperament will find each other because they stare at each other. And it's really signaling, and it's weakness. All warfare is based on deception. So if you come to the point where you have to engage in warfare, you are already of a disagreement with your opponent. So there's no real reason to be truthful to that opponent or to signal your true intentions to that opponent. Therefore, warfare is the basis. Deception is the basis of all warfare. So, I've been on the streets, before, and you see a guy who's, he'll stare at me because I fought for years to try to figure out why they do this. Why do they, stare at me or try to, intimidate me? And the reason is because they're scared or because they feel inadequate. And one of the things they do is to try to walk around like they're the hot shot tough guy. But, there used to be a point in time where I would go ahead and look back and basically let them know, hey, if you want to fight, this is where you'll get it. And a lot of that has to do with my own insecurities. That right there is a signaling, trying to prevent a fight by signaling that I am ready for a fight. Now, that might not be without virtue. That might be a virtuous thing. If you live on the streets, if you live in a rough neighborhood, you don't want to walk around like you're cowering and scared all the time. Again, you don't want to walk around like you're staring and being tough all the time, because both of those are extremes of the, they're opposites of the opposite extremes. They're signaling. So what you want to do is just, what I do now is I realize that this person, whoever they are, has no idea what might happen to them if they engage if they engage me. And not that I'm, the toughest guy in the world, but in a fight, I am not blurry visioned and, fighting on instinct. I am calculating. And so, therefore, I don't feel like I want to engage in these fights. That's something you're going to want to learn as you progress in the Vo style, is you really don't want to take the responsibility of hurting somebody. Again, I will always stress that avoiding fights is the number one aim of the Vo style. So, that's going to do it for now. The next video will be an actual video. For now, that's a number of topics for you to go ahead and study, and make notes, think about, expound upon. The Vo style is not a closed system. It's something I'm still learning, and it is something that others, of course, will be adding to. So that's it. Take care.